Hey guys, my name is Deb Marnie and I'm from Aussie Maille, and this is our chain mail tutorial channel. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's really great to see you here. Thanks for popping in and spending some of your day with me. Okay, so today I've got a weave tutorial for you. This one is a variant on the barrel weave or double vision, depending on what you know that weave by. The variant is called Cask. Alright guys, let's just jump straight into it. Okay guys, so I've got some sample pieces of the Cask weave made up here for you. So the sizes that I use to make these particular pieces will be coming up here on the side of the screen. They'll also be listed down in the description section that you can find down underneath this video. So if you're on a PC, click the show more, or if you're on a mobile, there should be a little down arrowy type thing. Click on that and all that information will pop up for you. But to run through them quickly with you here, this guy over here is our 14 gauge AWG. That's 1.6 millimeter diameter wire. And the ring ID I chose for this one was 8.5 millimeters. The next one is the 16 gauge AWG 1.2 millimeter diameter wire. The ring ID I chose for this one was 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeters. Now, as you can see, this is the only one that I was able to get a ring that I was happy with that uses the anodized aluminium. The next one is the 18 gauge AWG version, 1 millimeter diameter wire. The ring ID for this one is 5 millimeters. And then finally the 20 gauge AWG 0.8 millimeter diameter wire, 4.25 millimeters was the ring ID for this one. So I'll be demonstrating this today for you in the 16 gauge, just so you can see the steps involved with the two different colors. It makes it a little bit easier for you. There's a close-up of the weave. It is a fairly substantial weave when it sits on your wrist. Obviously it's got a little bit of a roundness to it. So in the 14 gauge, it is quite the chunky weave. If you don't like chunky weaves, I definitely wouldn't suggest the 14 gauge for you. The 16 gauge is not too bad, and obviously as it goes down it becomes a little bit more delicate. I quite like the 18 gauge, to be honest. It's not a bad little weave. Okay guys, so to start this weave up, we want to take out one of our color 1 rings, which in this case I'm using BA, and on that I'm going to pop 3 more BA rings. Now I've pre-closed these rings purely because this is actually not my first go at making this video. So I had already had these rings pre-closed from my previous attempt. Normally I would just take them straight out of the bag and then close them up as I go along. But it's totally up to you. If you like to pre-close your rings, go ahead, do that. Otherwise, just pop them on out of the bag and do them up. So once we've popped out 3 closed base rings on there, I'm going to put a twist tie through the end just to help me give something else to hold on to for this video. It is by no means necessary for this weave to have it, but if you've got it, it's just a little bit of extra helping hand. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to position my 3 rings like this so that they're stacking on top of each other, moving away like this. So it doesn't really matter which way you stack these rings initially. What does matter is that you maintain that stacking throughout your weave. Okay, if for some reason you switch it halfway through, or you flip your work over or do it a different way or whatever, you're going to change the look of the weave, which could be a complete design choice for you, and go for it if that's what you want to do. But as per the weave as it's based in Maille Artisans, all the barrels or the casks or whatever you want to call them stack up the same way. So I'm going to stack mine like this, and then once I've got those 3 rings positioned, I'm going to take up one of my color 2 or my AA rings, and I'm going to put this ring firstly up through 1, which is our bottom ring here, and then I'm going to put it down through 2 rings, which are these next 2 rings that we've got remaining. Okay, so to show you that, I'm going to go up through 1. Okay, I'm going to turn my ring so it then comes down through those remaining 2 rings, down through the eye there. So it goes through the top ring and the middle ring first. Top ring first and then the middle ring. Okay, and this is just a side view. You can see that I've come up through just 1 ring and I've gone down through 2. Now if you didn't get that, don't worry, I will show you it again. It gets a little bit easier to see as we get further along in the weave, and I've got a little bit more stability in my weave. There you go, that's what our work should look like at the moment with one of our coloured rings placed. So keeping our rings in that position, we're going to place another coloured ring. This time we're going to come up through 2 rings, so we're going to come up through the bottom and the middle ring, and then we're going to go down through the top ring. Okay, so we pick up 1, 2 rings, and then we turn and we go down through just 1. Okay, so a side view of that for you. We've come up through 1 and 2, and I've gone down through 1. Okay, I'm going to close that up. And you can see that that is now staggering our rings on our cask. We've got 1 more to place in this unit. This one is going to be like the first one. It's going to come up through 1 and it's going to go down through 2. So up through the bottom ring, turn our work, and it's going to go down, or not our work, sorry, our ring, and it's going to go down through those top 2. And we're going to close that up. Okay, and there's our first cask form. So just to lock it all into place, I'm going to take up another bright aluminium ring, and I'm going to run this one up through all 3 of our base BA rings there. Just those rings. Make sure that when you run it up through those, you don't pick up any of the anodized rings. You can see it's just going through the bright aluminium, and that locks our cask into place. So to continue the weave, we're going to pop on 3 more of our BA rings before we close it up. Okay, so we've got 1 complete unit now and the start of our second unit. So again, to reiterate, you want to stack these rings the same way as you were stacking them in the first one. So I've got those 3 rings positioned. Now I'm going to try and keep my thumbs out of this as much as I can. So there's our 3 rings, our first, our second, and our third ring. Our first colour ring, remember that one comes up through 1 and down through 2. So what that looks like is come up through 1, we give it a little turn, and it just naturally falls down through those 2 remaining rings. It just wants to do that. You don't have to force it. It's happy to go in there. Okay, and that's what it looks like from the side. We've come up through 1 and we've gone down through both those rings. Okay, and we close that up. Our next ring is going to come up through 2, so it's going to come up through this one and this one at the same time, and then we're going to turn it and it's going to come down through our remaining ring. So I'll see if I can show that to you with a side view. Just try and work out the best position here. So it comes up through 1 and 2. Okay, I've picked up just those 2 rings, and then we give it a little turn and it just naturally wants to go down through that top ring. So I hope I didn't move those rings around too much for you guys then. It's a bit tricky. You can see we've gone up through 2, down through 1. We close that up, and that staggers that second ring on our cask for us. And then our final ring mimics the first one. So for that one, we're coming up through one. Let me see if I can get these ones out of the way, and that might be a bit easier to see. Okay, we come up through one, so just one ring there. Turn our work, or turn our ring, I should say, not work. My apologies. Turn our ring so that it then just naturally falls through those two rings just there. Okay, and close it up. And then to stabilize it all up, we want to take up another bright aluminium ring and run it up through all three of our base rings there on the side, making sure we go just through our base rings, guys, not through any of the anodized rings. And then continuing on, we just pop 3 more closed base rings. Close it up. Stagger our rings as we have been, or position them as we have been. Take up our first colored ring. Remember, this one goes up through 1, down through 2. Up through 1, down through 2. Our second ring goes up through 2 and down through 1. So up through 1, 2, down through 1. Close it up. And then to place our final ring, this one is like the first one, goes up through 1, down through 2. Up through 1, down through 2. Okay. Close it up. And then to lock it all in place, we take another bright aluminium ring, run it up just the side of our 3 base rings, making sure we don't go through any of the rings in the middle there. And you would continue adding it, or if you're at the end, you would just add your clasp and you would be done. So that's it, guys. It's quite a simple weave. It is a bit loosey-goosey to start with, but it gets a little bit better as you go along and you get a little bit more used to manipulating those rings. But there you go. There is the cask weave. Alright, my lovelies, well that is it. That is the video tutorial for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it of use. If you did find the video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. Share the video. Post any comments or questions you may have down below the video. All of that will really help our channel, and if you're not a subscriber, you might want to consider doing that for us as well. That would be awesome. While you're here, don't forget to check out some of the videos that we've got. There's a couple of hundred rumbling around. I'm sure you'll be able to find something that you like. And last but definitely by no means least, guys, don't forget to check out our shop link up here in the corner. That's where we sell the bits and bobs and whatsamajigs you're going to need to whip up this weave and all the others. All right, guys, thanks once again for popping in. I hope you're keeping safe and well, and that I get to catch up with you again sometime in the very near future. Bye.